If you're a business owner with revenue over 7 figures but still feel stuck grinding 60 plus hours a week, chances are you're caught in the silent trap. You see, most guys think it's their team, it's their systems, or their strategy that's holding them back. But after helping over 1,400 7-figure business owners scale up to 5 times faster while working less hours, I found the real problem. And it's not what you think. The men who break through all their revenue targets all make one shift that 90% miss. And I'm about to show you exactly what that shift is and why it changes everything. But first, let me prove that this is real. One of my clients, Steve, was stuck at 7 figures for close to 5 years, working 70-hour weeks. 18 months after making this shift, I'm about to show you, he had an 8-figure exit while only working 40-hour weeks. There's also Justin, who doubled his construction business in just 24 months after a decade of being stuck. Now, these guys didn't work harder. They didn't get stuck trying to run better strategies. They fixed something you haven't even noticed is broken. See, Tony Robbins famously said, business success is 20% mechanics and 80% psychology. Now, I spent 10 years thinking that meant mindset work, but I was dead wrong. Psychology is your capacity. It's your container. It's your ability to handle everything in your life. And it's the difference between you doubling your business in the next 18 months or staying stuck. So let me show you exactly what I mean. This container represents your capacity. When you're building to your first million, you're 100% focused on mechanics. That's sales funnels, marketing, systems. And that's exactly what you should focus on. But here's what happens. You hit 7 figures, now the demands aren't just about sales and marketing. You've got team drama, bigger decisions, cash flow complexity. Throw in family, health, everything else. Your container though, it's the same size it's always been. You never upgraded it. You spent years upgrading your business mechanics, better marketing, better sales, better systems, but you never upgraded your capacity to hold it all. So now you're at 7 figures, trying to handle 10 times the complexity with the same container you had when you started. And this is the silent trap. And this is why you're working 60 plus hours just to maintain what should take 30. But here's the real cost. When your container's overflowing, every decision takes 10 times longer. Every opportunity gets delayed. Every problem becomes a 2-week crisis. You're not just working harder, you're growing slower. By the way, I've created a free capacity assessment that shows you exactly what percentage you're operating at. It takes less than 3 minutes. Links below. Now here's where most men destroy their lives without realizing it. When your container starts overflowing, what do most men do? You start bailing things out to make room for business. First to go is time for yourself, your hobbies. Then it's your mates, then it's weekend adventures, then it's the marriage, then it's bedtime stories and family dinners. Right? You keep removing everything that isn't business, thinking you're becoming more focused, more productive, thinking you're being disciplined. But here's what actually happens. You empty out everything that gave you purpose, that gave you energy. Now your container is 90% business. And that's when burnout happens. That's when marriages end. That's when you wake up at 55 with money in the bank, but nothing else, brother. I know because I lived it. At 41, I was stuck at the same revenue for nearly 3 years, working 70-hour weeks. And I could see my competition growing 3 times faster, and they were working half the hours. The worst part, I knew I was capable of more, but I couldn't figure out why I was stuck. Turned out my container was so full, I couldn't see opportunities right in front of me. Now you think this is the price of success, that there's no other way. But what if you didn't need to empty the container at all? What if you just needed a bigger one? Watch this. Same business demands, but now there's room for business and family and health and hobbies. The business actually thrives because you have the other stuff, not in spite of it. So let me show you how this plays out in business. 2 businesses, same industry, same market, same annual profit. Business owner A scales from 1 million to 5 million over 3 years. Business B gets stuck at the $1 million mark. What's the difference? Most will say it's strategy or better teams or better marketing. But in today's business landscape, all that is an even playing field. Here's what the differentiator really is. You see, business A, his client calls with bad news about, say, a $50,000 loss. He says, got it, here's what we got to do. 3 calls later, the problem's solved, right? He gets back on with growing the business and he's home by 6 to be with the family. But take business B. Same call from the client. He goes into meltdown, calls emergency meetings, stops all growth initiatives, can't sleep for a week. His wife asks if everything's okay. He snaps at her. 3 months later, he's fixed the problem, but now he's playing catch up. Same problem, different containers, very different lives. And after analyzing over 1,400 7-figure businesses, I found something shocking. Most men are operating at just 40%. You're literally using less than half your potential. Think about it. If you're at 40% capacity, you're also growing at 40% speed. So it's no wonder there are other businesses out there that are blowing right past you. You see, you don't need to sacrifice everything for business and success. You need a container big enough to hold it all. So how do you actually build this bigger container and scale at the speed you know you're capable of? Well, there's a framework the top 1% use, and I call it the capacity code. What I love about the code is it isn't some complex 47-step process. It's just 4 things. That's it. The first is clarity. And inside clarity, we use the direction framework. This is figuring out, what do you want? Why do you want it? Who do you need to be in order to get it? You see, most men can't answer these clearly. The top 1%, they know this stuff exactly. There's no confusion, there's no second guessing, there's just clear direction. The second is optimization, right? This is the elimination game. Because what you got to realize is 80% of what you're doing right now is noise. Meetings that don't matter, decisions others should be making, problems that aren't even problems. Like, we've got to cut the 80% and we focus on the 20% that actually moves the needle. And then the third is discipline, right? The identity system. Now, this isn't about cold showers or 4 a.m. wake-ups. It's about building daily systems that align with who you need to be. Yeah, the right habits, done consistently without relying on motivation. And then the fourth is engagement. This is the energy equation. If you're not engaged, you're just going through the motions. The top 1%, they design their business to energize them, not drain them. They love the game because they're playing it on their terms. Now, here's what's crazy. Implementing just one of these pillars can expand your capacity by 20 to 30%. But if you stack all 4, you're operating at a completely different level. And this is how people scale at velocity. Decisions that took days happen in minutes. Opportunities you normally miss, you capture. Problems that would derail you for weeks get solved before lunch, brother. Remember Steve I talked about earlier? He started with clarity. Within 30 days, he eliminated 10 hours of unnecessary meetings per week and started spending more time on things he loved doing. And Justin, he focused on optimization first. Like, we cut his decision load by nearly 70%. Same business, fraction of the mental load. So look, if this resonated with you, I've created a free capacity assessment that shows you exactly where you're at. In under 3 minutes, you'll finally see why you've been stuck, why others are growing faster, and exactly what to fix first to accelerate your growth. And there's a link in the description below. Because here's the truth. Every day you wait, you're choosing to stay in the silent trap. Because you don't need another strategy, brother. You don't need to work harder. You need a bigger container. And if this opened your eyes, watch this video next where I break down exactly how discipline was the turning point for me to 10x my capacity. Stay strong.